Hi there. I'm Lilia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of New Day, New Beginnings. Now, the title of today's lesson is Friend or Foe. How do we know the difference? Well, we're going to talk about that today. How do you know the difference? And that's first of all, before we even start all that, let's define each of those words. And I looked them up in the dictionary to give you the exact definition. And a friend is also considered a companion. So we could say friend or companion, whichever they are to you. But what is a friend? And it says a friend is one who is attached to another person by affection. And that's true, because when we consider somebody our friend, we know that we really like them a lot. We're enjoying their company. We enjoy being around them. All this is relevant. This is what makes them your friend. People you can trust and you enjoy, and so forth and so on. Now, that's your friend. But now, what is a foe? Well, we know what a foe is. It's an enemy, it's an opponent, it's an adversary. We see that all the time on movies. The adversary's always going after the good guy, so forth and so on. It's one person opposing another person, but they're doing it in a negative way. They're your enemy. That's your foe. Now, the others word I looked up was fake, because that goes in with the same category as your foe. A foe is a fake friend, because they're making pretend, and to be fake is counterfeit. To be fake is, they called it a worthless imitation. And you hear that all the time, because you see it about clothing, you see it about pocketbooks, shoes. Everything's a name brand. If it's not this, it's a fake. It's a knockoff. It's a sham. So these, I put the fake with the foe because that is synonymous. Because a foe is always pretending. They're being something they're not really, but they're doing it so that you think that's what they are, so that others think that's what they are. That's why your foe is your enemy, your opponent, your adversary, and he's a fake. Now that we've defined all those, uh, how do we distinguish? How do we distinguish the friend from the foe? And how do we distinguish the companion from the enemy? And how do we distinguish the genuine, real friend from the fake? Well, let's do it one at a time. Let's begin with true friends. Okay? True friends. What are they? They're true friends and companions are genuine. I mean, they're the people that really have your back. They're the people that do have your best interests at heart. They're supportive in whatever you're doing, and they're always willing to help you. They're the ones you sit and you talk with and talk about what you want to do, and your plans and your dreams and all types of aspirations that you might have, and they do the same. And that's how come so many friends start off in a partnership, because they're on the same page. They want the same goals. They have the same aspirations. So they'll say, well, why don't we be partners in this endeavor? And that's how a lot of partnerships, that's how they start. I mean, they congratulate you on your successes, and they don't mind paying you compliments because they're happy for you. That's a true friend. They enjoy sharing your joy with them. They enjoy that just as much as you do because you're their friend and they're yours and they're your true friends. And around them you feel relaxed, you feel peaceful, you feel happy because oh, we're having a good time and they're enjoying it just as much as you are. And that's what counts. That's what you want. Just like when your family has successes. I mean, we all have family successes. People get a new job, they get a promotion, the kids graduating, they're going and people get new careers, the kids got new ventures, they're going to go off to college and what are you majoring in? And they're going to be doing all kinds of wonderful things and they're sharing that with you. But of course, you share that with your family, but you share it with your friends. You share it with your friends, and they're just as happy. You're true friends. In fact, let me tell you, this is true. My daughter called me day before yesterday, and she said, "Oh, mom, guess what?" She says, I'm getting ready to do my very first CPR training class. She got her certifications and all the papers she wanted and got a location, and she's going to be actually being the instructor for her own CPR class. And she was thrilled. Well, of course, so was I. That's wonderful. It's always wonderful to see your kids make an accomplishment. But not only did she share it with her family, she shared that with her friends, her girlfriends that were close to her, others that are in the same field. And they all came together. They enjoyed it just as much. The friends that are close to her, the ones she trusts, the ones she talks to. And just like you have family events, if you're having a family event, who do you invite? Your friends. You always invite your friends to good stuff because they're almost like part of your family. Those are the people you want to spend time with. Those are the people you enjoy spending time with. You love being in each other's company. You have fun. Those are the people that they want to share in your happiness because they're glad for you, just like you're glad about it. So are they. That is a true friend. Never desert you, right there to help you out, encouraging you. Now, let's go to the other side. Now, let's take a look at the faux and the fake. And like I said, they're one and the same because the foe is still the enemy, still the opponent. But at the same time, that foe is being a fake because they want you to think of them as one way, but they're really being pretending. So they're really that worthless imitation of a friend. They're not your real friend, but they're acting like it. Why? Because they want something from you. And just like I said before, so many times my kids will say, well, my grandkids, I should say, oh, this is fake and that's fake. Well, they use the term like all the time, but it's true. It's true for our own daily living, for our enemies, because they are people that are pretending to be our friend, but they've got a hidden agenda. They've got something totally different on their mind other than our happiness. They're not that concerned with our happiness. Don't kid yourself. They're not that concerned. They've got a hidden agenda. Uh, there's something from us that they want. So they've got to kind of go along with the program because they haven't gotten what they want from you just yet. And sometimes you ever get like a uncomfortable feeling or something's kind of off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And that feeling, it stays with you, but these people, and you kind of ignore it and you just say, well, and you blow it off. But people are acting that way and you kind of sense it, but they'll do whatever it takes until they get what they want. So they'll continue. If they're deceiving you, if they're scheming, if they're plotting, and sometimes they try to run a guilt trip on you. They'll say, well, I thought we were best friends. I thought I was your friend. I thought this. I thought that. Why don't you do this? And why don't you let me do that? They want to infiltrate your thing for their benefit. Now, they're going to clap when you succeed at something. So if you win an award or whatever, they're going to clap for you. But kind of inside, it's like, they're not really wishing you good luck. They're actually wishing that you might have failed. And they'll pay you compliments. Oh, yeah, that was a good job. Yeah, in front of other people, they'll pay you compliments. But they don't mean those either. It's all for show. It's all being the imitation, the worthless imitation that a fake person is, because it serves their purpose to act like that until they get what they want. Now, they may even congratulate you on a promotion, and that's all well and good too. But behind your back, what are they saying? You know what? Sometimes they're talking to other people and saying, well, yeah, she wasn't really that good at that job. She, so and so could have got it. So and so was just as good. I thought so and so, they're not going to talk you up behind your back. But these are the drama queens. These are the ones that, they always like to keep something going. You ever have somebody that no matter what good is going on, they'll always find a downside to it. They'll always be the one that says, well, yeah, that was good, but it could have been this and it could have been that. They're always the one that's got to keep something going. But yet they want you to believe that they've got your back. But in reality, they just want to cause turmoil, confusion, chaos, just make everything uncomfortable. And this is where discernment comes in. And what did I say discernment was? Didn't I say it was an in-depth insight to see beyond the surface? You don't need to just focus on what's being told to you or what it looks like. You've got to, discernment is the power to see what isn't evident to the average mind. That means you've got to delve down deep. Look beyond what you see on the surface. You need wisdom. You need discernment to differentiate, to tell you who is the true friend, who does have your best interests at heart. And that's the purpose of discernment. That's why you've got to actually pray about it. Now, let's go. I want to show you something back in the biblical time, of course. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7. And it's verse 15 we're going to start in. And this is under the heading of the test of false prophets. Now, very first verse 15, chapter 7 of Matthew. Look at the very first line. It says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. We've heard the saying, a wolf in sheep's clothing. The wolf, he's acting like a sheep. He's acting gentle and kind and easygoing, but he's coming to devour. And then at 16, it says, you will know them by their fruits. Because do men gather grapes of thorns? No. Or figs of thistles? No. Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring evil fruit, nor can a corrupt tree bring good fruit. So what is it saying? It's telling us right there. It's telling us that a tree can only produce the fruit of what it is. You go to an apple orchard, you don't look for oranges. You go to an orange grove, you don't look for apples. You go to a lemon tree, you look for lemon, because each tree can only produce what it is. Same thing goes for people. That's where the fakes come in, the imitations, because people can always say, they can say one thing and altogether mean something different in their mind. They're saying what they think you want to hear. They're saying what they need to say to get what they want. Just like a tree. But eventually you find out that wasn't them at all, because they can only produce what they truly are. And that's why we need discernment to see who they really are. Now, you can only tell by how they treat you and what they do. Why? Because they can tell you anything they want. Doesn't make it so. Doesn't make it so. Samson and Delilah is another example. Samson was the strongest man in the world. He could fight the whole Philistine army and win by himself. Why? Because God had given them that supernatural power. But what does he do? He goes in there and he sees Delilah and he's falling in love with Delilah, and that's all he knows. And what's she doing? The Philistines still want to win the war, so they tell her, well, if you find out where he gets his strength from, we'll pay you. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So she starts a lovey-dovey in Samson, and he's like, oh, this is wonderful. She loves me, blah, blah, blah. So finally she says, and by the way, where do you get your strength from? You're so strong. Where do you get your strength from? And he told her three or four times she asked him, and he would give her some off-the-wall kind of answer. And finally she said, well, if you really love me, you would tell me the truth. And the fourth time, he said, well, really, it's my hair. As long as I never cut my hair, I'll always have my strength. So when he went to sleep, she called the Palestine guard. They came in, cut his hair, let him wake up. When he woke up, he was already in chains. That's my point. She wooed him. She did whatever it took. Total deception. She knew she was lying, but he fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. So he got carried away. They captured him. But that's the point. People can profess loyalty or say whatever they want to say. I will always believe that actions speak louder than words. They could say you're their bestie and they're yours and so forth, but it's what they do that counts. And that's what's so very important. You ever notice how somebody needs help and you're always there to help them, but when it's your turn, what's happening? They start, oh, I can't do that. I won't be available. They give you excuses. Well, these are the people you don't need. I mean, they're not helping you to move forward because they're keeping you from where God is sending you. And this creates a stumbling block for you. And that's not what you want. Now, sometimes deep down inside, we can feel, feel that something is not right, but you can't put your finger on it. And this is when we got to ask for discernment. Lord, please give me discernment. Help me look beyond the surface to know who is my friend or who is my foe. Because, this is how the Holy Spirit tells us. These are our warning signs, those inward feelings that we have, those uncomfortable feelings, the feelings that something's just not right, but I don't know what it is. Slow down. Take a minute. I mean, something within us is telling us, giving us this sign. So we've got to learn to pay attention. So what do? What do you do? Well, first of all, when you start getting those funny feelings, you have to, how do I say, kind of remove yourself from the person or the people, whatever it happens to be. But you just have to kind of ease yourself away from them, start spending more and more less time with them. That's important, because if you're feeling something that uncomfortable, that's a symbol to you. That's trying to tell you something. So you've got to, how do I say, disassociate yourself. Disassociate. And another example, here's a quick one. I want to put this out there, because this was in Jesus' situation. That's about Judas Iscariot. I talk about him because he did the worst thing of all. Remember, Judas Iscariot. He was one of Jesus' disciples. He was always with Jesus. He claimed to be so loyal to Jesus, and he followed him everywhere. Everywhere Jesus went, he was with the disciples. He ate all his meals with them, and he was always by his side. But what happened? The priest asked him, well, where is he? And the first thing that Judas said was, well, if I tell you, what's in it for me? That fast, he forgot his loyalty. And they said, we'll give you 30 pieces of silver if you tell us where he is. And he said, well, I can't tell you, but I could show you. And he took him right to him in the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas, who stood beside him and all the disciples for 2 or 3 years, still betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. They led him to him, didn't slow him down at all. Easy deception. All that time he was being the fake disciple because he betrayed Jesus. Now, I know we all have different situations, and I know they're not that drastic, but I like to use these as examples just to give you an idea, because even though we're not that drastic type of situation, we still need to pray for discernment. So we'll be able to recognize when people have ulterior motives. And don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Don't think, oh, well, my friend would never do that. You know why? Because you don't know that. You don't know what might provoke them to change their mind. You just ask for God's direction to help you see things for what they really are, to see beneath the surface, to see who is pretending and who is sincere. A man once said he had asked God to protect him from his enemies, and he started losing friends. Well, what's that tell you? So some of his friends were actually his enemies. And sometimes when we are going through stuff, we attribute it to bad luck or misfortune, when it could be a friend turned foe. Sometimes our enemies are standing right by your side. Just like Judas Iscariot was always with Jesus every single day. And a lot of times, best friends become your enemy because of jealousy. And I say that because, especially if you've both been on the same level for years, let's say, and you've always talked together and decided what you want to do and have great ideas and plans, and you're just always together. You had the same goals, but all of a sudden, you start becoming more successful, and it kind of happens pretty fast. Now, this may change their attitude. This may start them even talking negatively about you. If you get that uneasy feeling, don't ignore it. Be aware of any changes in your so called friends. I mean, but through this discernment, this is how God will show you the wrong motives and the hidden agendas. You've got to keep your focus on the direction that God has given you. I don't care what people are saying or they're thinking how wonderful you are. You know what I read? I forgot where I read it, but it said, you can't name one person who ever set out to do good that wasn't hated by somebody. So if you're doing good, if you're doing your assignment, somebody's going to dislike you because it said purpose will attract opposition, which it does, because once your friend sees you progressing and they are not, now they're going to oppose. And then it says favor will stir frustration, which it does in them as well as in you because you're trying to understand why are they changing. And growth will trigger gossip. And you know that's true. But it also said, you are not called to be liked. You're called to be faithful. So, all this stuff, this chaos and confusion and opposition, all that comes with your assignment. And it said, so do it anyway. And that's all I'm telling you. Pray daily. Keep your focus on what God has you directed to do. Pray daily, pray consistently. Just ask for his guidance and take your time. And when you get that feeling, that inward feeling, just pause a minute, recognize it, and just follow your mind, not what you're being told or not what somebody else is trying to get you to do. What it said, you're not called to be liked, you're called to be faithful. And I'd like to say happy Father's Day for tomorrow to all you dads out there. Have a wonderful day. And my closing words for today are, now, if you wait until you're in trouble to pray, you're already in trouble. Until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining me.